Good morning, guys. This is Arif, and welcome to Grammar with Arif. Hope you are doing well. Prepositions, confusing words. Many students are confused whether they should use to, for, of, over, above, below, underneath, beneath. So, prepositions can be confusing, and some of the prepositions are easy too. Today, I'm going to explain two of the prepositions, above and over. They look similar most of the time, but there are some differences between them. Today, I'm going to explain how to use them in different ways. There are 7 points. Today, I'm going to explain 7 points, the 7 differences between above and over. The first one is higher than. When you mean that something is higher than another thing, it is above it, we can use both normally. We can use above, we can use over. That, let's suppose, my right hand is over my left hand, or my right hand is above my left hand. So normally, in this case, when you mean higher than, you can use both of them, above and over. I'll make some examples later. Number 2, when you mean that something is not directly over another thing or higher than another thing, you should use above. Now, what we mean by this is that something might be here. Now, in this case, it is also higher than this thing, but it's not directly over this thing. When something is directly over something else, we should use over, and if something is not directly over something else, we should use above. The third difference is covering. For example, let's say something is covering something else. There are many situations in which one thing covers another thing. I'll make examples later. For example, let's say clouds. When cloud covers a place, a building, a bridge, we use over. Number 4, crossing. In this case, we can also use across. Across and over, they have the same meaning in this case. Now, what do we mean by crossing? Suppose this is the road, and a person or something goes from this place to this place. It means that that thing or that person goes over the road or across the road. For example, a river. There's a river, okay, and there's a bridge over or across the river. So people go from one place, from one side to another side. We use over or across. Or an aeroplane goes from one country to another country across the border or over the border. The 5th point, measurement. When you are talking about different kinds of measurements like height, length, width, depth, we use above, not over. The 6th point is age, speed, or quantity. When you talk about age, you should use over. When you talk about speed limits on motorway or on the road, you should use over. When you talk about quantity, when you mean more than that, for example, this class has more students than that class. In this case, we should use over. The last difference between above and over is with the verb see. You will see this point mostly in books or on different kinds of pages. If you see above, it means that you should look at something which is written before But if you see over, it means that look at something which is written on the next page. That's the difference between over and before with the verb see. Let's have some examples. Here are the examples in the sequence of the points I explained previously. The helicopter is above or over the palace. Here we simply mean higher than. You can use above, you can use over, no problem. Number 2, the wall fan is, now if I stand here, the wall fan, I should say over me because it is directly above me or directly over me. But if I stand here, I should say the wall fan is above me. Now it is not directly over my head. Number 3, there is cloud over the south of England. Now here over means that it is covering this place. Another example in the same case, he put on a coat over his pajamas. Now here over means that the coat covers his pajamas. Number 4, the plane was flying over or across the border. Now here over or across means that it was crossing the border. The plane was crossing the border. So in this case you can use over or across, your choice. Another example in the same case, electricity cables stretch over the fields or across the fields. They have the same meaning, means that the cables were crossing the fields, going from one point of the field to another point of the fields. The fifth point, today the temperature is 3 degrees above zero. When we talk about measurements, we should use above. Today the temperature is 3 degrees above zero. Another example in the same point, the summit of Everest, means Mount Everest, which is in Nepal. The summit of Everest is about 8,000 meters above the sea level. Here we are talking about measurement. Here are the examples in the last 2 points. Number 1, you have to be over 18 to see this movie. Now here 18 represents the age of a person. A person below 18 should not or cannot watch this movie. Now here over talks about age. Number 2, she was driving at over 110 miles per hour, means that the speed was over 110 miles per hour. Here we talk about speed. The third example in the same point, there were over 1,000 people at the funeral. Now here 1,000 people is the quantity or the number of people. So we use over when we mean more than that. It means that more than 1,000 people were there. Examples in the last point, if in the book you see above, it means that you should look at the information or the piece of information before. And when you see over, it means that you should look at the piece of information on the next page. Thank you for watching. If there's a problem, you can ask me in the comment section below. And if there's a topic you want to learn, you can also mention it in the comment section below.